On today's show, Luka Doncic scored 47 in a Eurobasket game for Slovenia's win against France. What does it mean for him? What does it mean for Slovenia? They're moving on. How are they going to look in tournament play? We'll talk about all that and more on today's Locked On Mavs. Let's go.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Hey, Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good!
And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
And welcome! You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. Where the best way you can help us grow the show is to comment anything below. Comment me Slovenci. Comment that below. Comment your team every day below. Let us know in the comment section. And also, name something. This is going to be like a little creative test for everybody. Name something as impressive as Luka's 47 points versus France.
Oh,
just name
your hair.
Name one thing as impressive. Let us know in the comments. And joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, and contributor at Mavs.com, letting it ride, the Slovenia Sun, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
All right, so on the Eurobasket website, when you look at the games for the day, it gives a half sentence for each of the games that are finished. And these are some of the lines for them. Well, Belgium advanced to Berlin.
Yeah, good luck for Belgium here.
Montenegro knock out Georgian host.
Yep.
Luka Doncic is good at basketball.
That's an incredible lead for like an article on their Eurobasket's website.
It's on
too.
Eurobasket's website, and it's like under the score at the top, to where normally, like I just read, it's like France tops whoever. It just says Luka Doncic is good at basketball under the Slovenia France game.
Amazing.
Just perfection.
Amazing. Obviously, we're talking about Eurobasket, the tournament happening over in Europe right now, where Luka Doncic's Slovenia is playing really, really well right now. They had a bump in the road there, but they are back. They won against France and Rudy Gobert and Fournier and Timothy Luau-Cabarrot. And who else would people know on that team? That's probably it, right?
Theo Maledon.
Theo Maledon from the Thunder is on that team as well.
No Frank Ntilikina.
No Ntilikina on this team. So
Elie Kobo.
But that's true. Ryan McDonough somewhere is vindicated from the Elie Kobo game.
Yabusele.
And so Slovenia gets that win. Now they are number one in their group B. And so we'll talk about what that means in tournament and all that. But we got to start with Luka Doncic because he dropped 47 in this game and just a crazy efficient game for Luka. We were wondering in some of these Eurobasket games, when is he going to turn it on? When is Luka going to get hot? Because we know how Luka rolls. He can be streaky with his shot, especially his three-point shooting and his free throw shooting. He can get pretty streaky. But in this game, everything was falling for him. And when that happens, there's just literally no answer for another team.
And he played almost the whole game.
Yeah.
Just throw out everything I said yesterday about him. At the end of the game, is he going to be tired and all of this? The dude this is one of the best games I feel like we've seen him play on any level. But him to play, he played 38 minutes in this game, 38-44 to be exact.
Yeah, and let's almost 39 minutes in a 40-minute game, right? These are only 40-minute games.
Yeah, so the only thing he didn't play was a minute and 16 in this game. And
because he had to get stitches in his head.
Yeah. and it was just like this guy, he put the team on his back. He dominated. They pulled up that graphic there. Sorry, somebody just texted me about it's our anniversary today, my wife and I. So
I thought you were gonna say it was ours. So
Nick, is it our anniversary?
No, ours.
So shout out
is in May.
Shout out to my wife. Happy anniversary.
Oh, yeah.
She's the best person in the world, and she's let me do this podcast for 5 years. So,
the wine.
Let's
wine.
let's see if another Mavs season will last our 10-year anniversary. So, but back to this game, just what Luka did, putting up 27 there. They put up that graphic there in the second quarter is like 27 points, 8 something. No, he didn't have 8 something, but it was just a remarkable Luka Doncic performance from start to finish.
47 points, 15 of 23 from the field, 6 of 11 from 3. That's the key for him sometimes. If he just gets that 3 ball going early, it just is all so easy for him. Then 11 of 12 from the free throw line. For everyone, I know you listening, there are games when he plays with the Mavericks or Slovenia when you just yell, make your free throws. Like, finally make your free throws. He hit him in this game. He hit 11 out of 12 of them. And had 5 assists, 7 boards. He had a steal as well, 4 turnovers. But he just put, like you said, he put the team on his back so much in this game. They literally, there's a couple of key plays at the end from Dragic that we'll talk about. But other than that, he didn't have much help in this game at all. It was like a Luka or bust kind of game. If he's not in this game, I wonder what Slovenia would have done at times, because he's everything for this team.
I do want to, we'll go back to Luka in just a sec. I do want to give Goran Dragic a big shout out, because at 36 or 37, whatever he's at, for him to play all but 21 seconds of this game was just unbelievable. And he had some big buckets late. I thought he played, he had 14 points in the game, but he shot 46% from the field. I thought obviously 14 points is not comparable to the 47, but for him to play basically the whole game at his age, I thought was really crazy.
And he honestly had a terrible game until the last like minute, basically. But Luka Doncic, he starts the first half. He scores 27 points in the first half, but at the 38-second mark, so like the last 38 seconds of the second quarter, he gets hit in the head by Vincent Poirier. He was in the NBA for he had a cup of coffee.
A little bit, yeah.
He had a glass of wine in the NBA, maybe if we're gonna put it the French way. He comes down for a rebound right over Luka. His elbow hits his head, and Luka falls down. And somebody tweeted this at me, and I found it hilarious. He said, I never know when Luka is actually hurt and when he's not, because Luka does react the same way as when nothing happens to him, or in this scenario where he's playing against France and the Frenchman Poirier hits his elbow on top of his head, and he literally is bleeding down the side of his head. He's looking back as he's walking to the bench. He's looking back at France, and you can see the blood pouring down from his face. And then he has to go get a couple stitches at halftime. So he didn't come out at halftime for a little while. He didn't warm up with the rest of the team. It took him a while to come back because they're literally sewing his head up because he had to get these stitches. He had 27 points at that point, and he came back and he poured on another 20 in the second half.
Yeah, he there was a play with Rudy, I think in the second half, to where Rudy, they got tangled up a little bit, but Rudy didn't even hit him hardly at all, and Luka just flails on the ground, and he lays down. They didn't call anything, but that's the type of stuff you never know if Luka's really hurt or not.
I think that was the beginning of the second half, because one of the keys to this game was Luka just wanted to go at Gobert, and we know this. We saw it in the playoffs. We saw it in the regular season for the Mavericks. He just wants to go at Gobert, and I think some of it is strategiological, I think, is something that he wants to do. Gobert got 2 early fouls. He went out at the 17-minute, 14-second mark of the first quarter. So, within the first 3 minutes, he had 2 fouls. You only get 5 in Eurobasket. So, he was taken out, and he checked out for a while. And so, Luka wanted to go right at Gobert. And we saw there was that one instance you mentioned, I believe it was in the third quarter, where Gobert comes up to him a little bit, and Luka just completely flails and falls to the ground. And I miss Luka's flops against Gobert, because that he just wants him out of the game. It's just Gobert was the best player on France. Gobert was the only one keeping them in this game at certain times too.
How much did Rudy love that dunk on Luka?
Oh, if Slovenia had lost, that dunk would have just been heard around the world. I don't know what Locked On Wolves is talking about today, but I think Ben Beacon may be talking about that dunk a little bit more if they had won. But he put him down. But give credit to Luka for standing in there on that dunk too.
Oh, yeah.
He could have just got out of the way, and instead he's like, hey, I know that Gobert doesn't always jam it on somebody's head when he should, and so I'm going to stand in here and I'm going to try to stop him. But coming up, let's talk about how impressive this is, because 47 points. Like that's a pretty good NBA game, right? But why is it so impressive in Eurobasket? We'll explain that. We'll talk about why Slovenia is number one in Group B and why that matters. We'll talk all about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Built Bar. Isaac, I just bought some new Built Bars. I needed some.
Hungary's out of the tournament.
But I have to tell you, on YouTube, we got so many hashtag dads do the ads that you now have to do the rest of this ad. Tell them about Built Bar.
Guys, if you want something that's low calorie, low carb, covered in 100% chocolate.
Oh, yeah.
You know what the option is for you? In between the bottles that you're feeding your kids, in between the tricycle rides outside, you're like, you know what? It's not time for dinner yet, but I need a snack. You know what you need to grab? Built Bar. If you don't want to do the actual, like the original Built Bar, there's Built Puffs. There's so many different flavors, so many different options that I'm sure Nick would love to tell you about what flavors there are.
Go to built.com. You can get the flavors. They have brownie batter puff, which is the one that I got. It's like marshmallow fluff in the middle, brownie batter flavoring, and then the chocolate cover on the outside, coconut marshmallow. There's a churro puff as well, double chocolate, regular Built Bar, cherry barcia solid, raspberry solid, great stuff. Go to built.com, use the promo code LOCKEDON15. That's locked on, the number 1, the number 5, locked on 15 to get 20% off your entire order. It's built.com. All right, Isaac, dads do the ads. That's another successful one for dads do the ads.
Did they really comment?
Oh, yeah. Oh, there was a lot. There was a lot of people that said hashtag dads do the ads.
That's hilarious.
Right. Incredible stuff on YouTube. And on Twitter. I got a couple on Twitter as well for those.
I got to check this out.
But Luka Doncic, why is it so impressive? 47 points. It's one of the highest marks in Eurobasket ever. Dirk had one in 2001. He had 43 points in a Eurobasket game. But let's remember, they only play 10-minute quarters. And so there's a lot less time. There's 8 minutes less of time than there is in an NBA game.
Could put up 60. And
these games matter. Like, these games really matter to the guys playing in these games. So it feels like...
Do you want to share what I texted you?
It feels like a playoff atmosphere. And Isaac texted me this during the middle of the game, and I think it's true. Like, hey, doesn't it look like Luka cares about this a little bit more than he cares about some Mavs games? And I'd have to agree, because it's different, right? It like hits home. It's country. It's like country pride. It's like, this is where I come from. You know that he loves those international games. Anything for Slovenia, he's going to go all out. Now, I don't think he went all out more so than he did in the playoffs for the Mavericks, right? Like, I was
going to say, like, it's Austin Garuda tweeted out something too later on, and I was like, yeah, that's where I'm at. Like, it's okay. Like, we can't get mad whenever, I think Austin said, you can't get mad whenever, Luka takes off a random Tuesday night in Sacramento.
Yeah.
And because we get games like this, I'm fine with trading out some, random games against the Magic or the Knicks. Like, who cares about the Knicks? And he's playing against them or something for him to have this incredible game. Now, I guarantee you though, I don't think that's like 100% from fans. There's a lot of Mavs fans who probably don't care about Slovenia playing basketball.
Sure.
And they're like, no, he should try hard all the time for Sacramento. And it's like, well, I'm not in that camp.
But you can tell when Luka does try hard in games, because the difference between this game, the Germany game, and then the Bosnia game and the Hungary game were just so different. And the Bosnia and the Hungary games, you could tell he came out and he was like messing around, he's laughing, like he didn't. You could just tell. But in these games against Germany and against France, his demeanor was different, and he just came out. He was ready to go. He was driving. He was attacking. His three ball was going down. His step back when his step back three goes down, everything else just becomes so easy for him, because then you have to come out and help. Like, the defender has to come out and step up to him and close out on his 3-point shot, because you can't just let him shoot a wide open 3-point shot, because he's way better at the wide open step back ones than if he's contested. And so then everything else just comes easy, because then the Luka magic, the actual Luka magic to me, like the key to Luka's game and why he's so good and why you can, like, I even see SJ, like our friend SJ on Twitter, arguing with all these Hawks fans about how Trae Young versus Luka, and why that's why that's not even an argument, is the magic of Luka is when a defender comes to close out on one of his 3-point shots, like he pump fakes, they close out, he gets by them and puts the defender on his butt. When Luka has a defender on his butt where he's like driving into the lane just in his slow pace and the defender can't catch him, that's where he's magic, right? That's where
Luka keeps going because he sees that as an advantage. Trey stops and falls over.
It is.
Whenever the guy's behind him.
And he has every single option at that spot. He has the option where he could kick out to either corner. He can kick out behind him. How many behind the head or behind the back passes have we seen Luka kick out to Toby or to Maxi Kleba in Mavs games? And he can hit the floaters incredibly well. He can post up whoever comes up to help. He bumped Gobert off of his spot a couple of times and hit a shot over the top of him. We talked about what he did against Germany, against their bigs, where he bumps them off their spot and hits a shot over them. But he just has so many other options. And we hope that he's adding a hook shot to his game. We haven't seen it in these Eurobasket games. We saw it in the friendlies. But he has every single option once he gets to that spot. And that's what makes Luka so magic. That's where we saw a lot of his success come out of this game. And he was just dead set on beating this team because it really does help Slovenia.
Yeah, getting that number 1 seed, winning the group is huge, especially after they lost that game the other day. And, Luka crashed the boards. Mike Toby didn't play in this game. So
yeah,
this set up for a, Rudy Gobert 17 rebound game. And it didn't. They crashed the boards as a team. I couldn't help to just think, like, what's going through Rudy's head? All right. I mean, it was just 5 months ago.
Where's Tony Parker?
You go back to April, 5 months ago. Luka's torching this dude in the playoffs. Like they ended the Jazz. Okay. I don't think Luka ended France. We can't go that far. Like the Eiffel Tower is just done. But,
I was just in France. It's still nice. It's still nice.
But it's just funny that, like, no matter the jersey, no matter the continent, no matter the league, the tournament, Luka Doncic is just going to put Rudy Gobert in a blender. And it's just funny seeing him torch him, especially there in that second half. He did the step back 3 over him. There was the crazy play of Luka at the end of the shot clock. The
oh my gosh, how did I? Oh my gosh,
what was that? And I just laughed. I just laughed whenever it went. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me! Come on.
When was it? Okay, 4 minutes 15 seconds in the second quarter. Slovenia has a decent lead, but they're nursing it a little bit. Luka has to bail them out because the shot clock's winding down. Dragic couldn't get anything going. None of the other Slovenia guys could get anything going. They kick it over to Luka. He starts driving on Gobert because a switch happens. There's a screen and a switch, and Gobert's now guarding Luka. Luka drives left, and instead of going left towards the basket, he goes left towards the sideline almost. Like he's driving at a diagonal. From the left wing, he has to throw up a shot, and he throws up a one-handed floater from just about, I think his feet were on the three-point line. And it goes in right as the buzzer goes down. And it was just one of those shots where you go, oh, man, everything's dropping for Luka today, right? The three ball is hitting, the wild trick shots are hitting. And then 4 minutes later, he gets a technical foul. And then he gets hit on the head and gets stitches and all that. But, yeah, that shot was insane. The end of the game, though. So I didn't think any other Slovenia players played particularly well in this game. Luka had 47. Dragic finished with 14. Muric
him and Konchar hit some shots late. That was huge.
Muric had 9 points, so he hit 2 threes. Konchar hit no threes, but he hit a couple of jumpers late and a couple of free throws late.
Pump fake on Rudy late, and then just the pull up jumper.
Huge. There was a couple. Nobody played well until the very final minutes. Until the very, very final minutes where Goran Dragic, minute 20 left, he's picking up Elia Kobo at half court. He's defending him. And he picks his pocket, steals, and scores. That's the oldest player on your team. The guy that shouldn't be playing as many minutes as he is probably. Completely just stripped Elia Kobo, the French guard, and scored. He did it again with 11 seconds left to basically seal the game. 2 times that Goran Dragic did it. And then the other play that was really big that you just mentioned was 44 seconds left. Slovenia is up by 2. Luka drives, he kicks back to Dragic, and Dragic swings over to Konchar, who has Gobert on him. And instead of just trying to take the 3 and maybe it's contested, he pump fakes, steps inside the 3-point line, pulls up, hits the shot, and then Slovenia's up by 4 with 44 seconds left. And that that sealed it, and then Dragic got another steal and score. But yeah, no Slovenian players played particularly well until those last couple of plays where they came up really big in the clutch.
Yeah, I mean, I got scared because they kind of gave it away. They kind of gave it away late, and France came back and tied the game. All right, we can't get a Luka 50-pointer, and they lose this game. Those guys hit some shots late, and they closed it, and I was thoroughly happy at that point because that meant obviously they won the group.
and they win the group. Let's talk about what that means for Slovenia going forward. Who are they going to play in tournament play? And what's next? Like, when will they play Jokic? When will they play Giannis and all that? We'll talk about that coming up. All right, Isaac Harris. We are chanting "Mi Slovenci" over and over and over again because Slovenia got this win. Luka Doncic, 47 points, an incredible feat in Eurobasket. Just doesn't happen very often. These games that mean something for guys that, you only play 40 minutes in a game and all that. Everything was dropping for Luka. Slovenia gets the win, and now they win Group B. So in Eurobasket, they're split into these groups. They have Group A, B, C, and D, and there's 6 teams in each, and there's 4 teams that come out of each group. So Slovenia had to finish in the top 4 of their 6-team group, and they did. They finished number 1. They were number 1. Germany was number 2. France is number 3. Lithuania was 4. So those 4 teams will move into tournament play. Same for all the other groups. They're all moving to tournament play. Since Slovenia was number 1 in their group, and they won the tiebreaker because they beat Germany. Germany was the team that was tied with them. They're both 4-1. Slovenia had beat Germany, so then they're number 1. They move on to the bracket. It's already set up in FIBA, Eurobasket's website. They'll play Belgium in the first game. Belgium is kind of an interesting team. They don't have any NBA players that you would recognize necessarily if you're just an NBA person, but they've beat some pretty good teams. They beat Spain in their group. They beat who else did they beat? They beat Bulgaria. They didn't beat Turkey, but yeah, they beat Spain, which is a good. Oh, and then they beat Serbia in the friendlies. That's what the other thing is. They beat Serbia twice in friendlies earlier this year, and so they are a pretty decent team. But there's not going to be anybody that you'll really recognize. Slovenia should be able to take care of them in round 1, but that's who they're going to play is Belgium.
Yeah, and if you look at the bracket on the bottom half, if you just want to break it down in like halves, the bottom half was Slovenia being up there against Belgium. France lands at that spot, and now they have to play Turkey in the first round. And Turkey's been kind of frisky a little bit. Shane Larkin, Mavs legend.
And Alfred Şengün. Yeah,
Şengün versus Rudy Gobert
that's a good one.
That should be a lot of fun in that. But yeah, I think you start looking across the board. We got to get one more day of Eurobasket before we know who the second round matchup could be. There's some stuff that could move around, but you're not really scared of anybody if you're Slovenia
in the whole tournament.
Yeah, in the whole tournament. But there's obviously some teams you want to avoid. I don't want to jinx it, but if you start looking at the next few rounds, it's that semifinals matchup to where it looks like Serbia will finish as the leader of their group D. Mm-hmm. And so Serbia looks like assuming that they win their first game in the tournament there, they'll play the winner of Turkey and France, which that'll be a great game. Yeah. Like Jokic versus Gobert if France wins or whatever.
Or Şengün.
And then the winner of that could face Slovenia in the semifinals. So we could get a Slovenia versus Serbia in the semifinals.
So the reason why it was so important for Slovenia to beat Germany and to beat France, which is why Luka went all out. They played all the minutes, like they really wanted to go all out in this game. They started Dragic, they did all that stuff. Is Slovenia finished number 1 in their group. Greece is probably going to finish number 1 in their group with Giannis, and then with our guy Tyler Dorsey. And then Serbia is probably going to finish, like Isaac said, number 1 in Group D. If as it is right now, if they finish number 1 in both of those groups, Slovenia, if they were going to face Greece at all, would be in the final. Like the last 2 teams standing, and they'll play Slovenia versus Greece. That would be the last matchup. Serbia would be in the semifinals, so basically like the Western Conference Finals that they would have to play. So there's a couple rounds. If Slovenia had finished in second place in their group, they would play Greece in the second round. Like they win one game, and these are single eliminations. So they play one game, and then they play Greece. Like it was so important for them to not be in that 2 spot. If they had finished in the 3rd spot in their group, if Slovenia had finished B3, then they would have played Serbia in round 2 and played Jokic in round 2. And so then all of a sudden you're like, man, what a tough test in round 2 for you to play, instead of waiting till all the way to the finals and probably winning a couple rounds before you ramp up to play those teams.
Yeah. And if you came in 4th, you'd be playing Spain in round 1. But not that, Spain's not what it used to be. When we were younger, it felt like Spain was like the juggernaut, right? Them playing USA and watching Rubio and the Gasol young Gasol brothers and all those guys. But
Rudy Fernandez is still there.
that's crazy to me. But no, it feels like Luka has flipped the switch. Like, in a way, if you view those first few games as kind of like friendlies for him, even though they needed to win them and stuff. For him to have a 47-point game, it's this last one. So now it's like, all right, it's on now, because now they just got to win out. And I say just got to, but we need peak Luka at this run. This could be a special run. We had this, special run back in 2017 when him and Dragic, for a lot of people, it's what put Luka Doncic on the map, was this, tournament run. Yeah. And seeing him and Dragic and him kind of like be the best player on the floor with Dragic as this young kid. And for a lot of Americans, in the States, is like, oh, who's this Doncic kid that just like, we're seeing these highlights of, we didn't, a lot of us didn't watch every single game of Eurobasket back then, but here we are. We're all in on Eurobasket, and we will be the next time too.
So that game against Belgium is going to be Saturday. We'll probably do a show maybe that day, maybe for Monday on that. But we'll definitely cover that game. And that's what's happening in Eurobasket. It's incredible basketball. I'm so enjoying it. This game against France was so enjoyable. There's been so many good games. I've enjoyed Tyler Dorsey's games with Greece and all that. What do you think? Let's just finish this France game off, though. What do you think about the Luka Gobert relationship? Because now we've seen it stretch multiple continents that Luka and Gobert have this rivalry. Now he's going to be playing for this Minnesota Timberwolves team, and it's gonna be a little different. It's not Utah, but it still is Gobert versus Luka.
He's just fun not to like for other players, it feels like. I mean, it's not just a Luka thing. I mean, how many other players don't like this guy?
I know.
So, I mean, that's just it feels like it's a Rudy thing more than a Luka Rudy thing. But
how likable was that Minnesota Timberwolves team that now they have Rudy Gobert, where it's just like, I don't know, will we turn on Anthony Edwards because of Rudy Gobert?
No, I can't.
It'll be hard, but I don't know. A season later,
I'm not a big cat fan, but
you're a dog person.
Yeah, I don't like cats. It would have been better if they kept Beverly, because it was just been great to have Rudy and Beverly and those guys. But no, it should be. I'm so intrigued. They're one of my most like intriguing teams that I want to watch, especially early on. Like there's a handful of teams every year that they get a big new addition or they shake it up in the offseason. You're like, I just want to see them on the floor together. They're a team that's like top 3 team that I have to watch them early on. I got to see how it fits. Yeah. I got to see Kat and Rudy on the floor together, because it's either going to, I think in the first month, it's either going to, people are going to look at it and they're going to overreact one way or the other. It's either going to be like, holy crap, this size so good, is awesome. Like we totally overthought this. Or we're going to be a month in and majority of people is going to be like, that's one of the biggest like mistakes of a trade we've ever seen, which I think some people are already there right now about how many picks they gave up.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be one way or the other after a month.
After a month that we'll be saying that. I think we won't know until honestly, like January or February, even after the trade deadline. I feel like we won't know what this Minnesota Timberwolves team is until then. Because they'll have to figure out playing defense with Gobert. Like it's different, right? We've seen him in Utah, but we've seen it work there, but they'll have to figure out. The Cat Gobert pairing is nothing like we've had in the NBA in a long time. Like, can you think of a pair of bigs that play like that? One super offensive sided, one super defensive like sided, that I just can't remember a pairing like that.
Magnitude.
It's just gonna be right. It's just gonna be really weird to fit them together, and I feel like we won't know for months.
Because they're all stars.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you've seen teams try it. You've seen the young version of it in Cleveland with Mobley and Allen, but they're not all stars yet. So like these guys are like accomplished all stars that's had like kind of their own teams, and now you're putting them together. What's their ceiling in the standings in the West for you? Like what's as high as that they could go in your mind?
I could see him going to 3 or 4. Like if everything works together and it's like incredibly good, it works so well. Because I think I have listened to a lot of David Locke, right? Like he's my boss. I'm also his channel manager in the NBA, and his whole thing about Rudy Gobert the whole time he's with the Jazz is that Gobert is guaranteed 50 wins because of how good he is defensively, and it's kind of proven true with this Jazz team over the last couple. Like we saw, they won 49 games last year, and in the playoffs they were really bad, right? Like they just weren't a team that you look at and go, oh dang, this is a 50-win team. And so I think that he'll give them a baseline, but they're going to have to figure out how that works and figure out how. So I could see him, if everything works out right from the get-go, like his defense and Cat and Anthony Edwards offense just gives them 50 wins, and then they're up there like, 3 or 4, like optimally, if everything works out well.
I can't wait for David Locke to try to convince his listeners that Walker Kessler is like the next Mark Eaton.
Locked On Jazz is going through it right now. Let me tell you, because they have not been bad in a while.
The first pod that I see from him that's just a feature pod on Taylor Horton Tucker.
Oh boy.
I'm just gonna laugh out loud to myself and then shoot him an email and be like, hey, that episode is great today.
Yeah. When was the last time they were really bad?
I think the ceiling for them though.
Okay, we started Locked On. He started Locked On Jazz in 2016. They were 40-42 that year. They've won 50 games just about every single year since then. This is the first year of Locked On Jazz where they won't win 50 games and maybe won't win 15 games.
Wow.
I know.
It's pretty wild though. They've had kind of sustainable like success from, obviously Stockton Malone, but then into like Boozer, Darren Williams. Karolinko days.
Passed off to Gordon Hayward and then passed off to Mitchell and Gobert.
Yeah. It's kind of wild for like a small market. They've kind of had like a floor anyway.
Yeah.
But for Minnesota though, I think it's like 4 or 5 for me. I can't have them cracking that top 3. Even 4 is a stretch, but that's just everything clicking. That's like D'Angelo Russell having a great efficient year.
Yeah.
Ant taking the next big step and the big man duo just clicking. Would you bet your life that the Mavs finish with a better record?
My life, like I would die if they aren't. I wouldn't.
Would you bet your Magic jersey behind you?
If we're just assuming health across the board, the Timberwolves just have so much more talent than the Mavericks.
Yeah,
that's so hard. I would probably bet the Mavericks would have a bet. Like I would bet something on the Mavericks, but
Baby Yoda behind you.
Grogu? No, never.
Anyway, they're just an intriguing team. I'm fascinated about them. I want to see them watch. I want to watch them play basketball.
I know every time I watch one of these guys in Eurobasket, I'm starting to think about their NBA team and how they're gonna like.
I was watching today. I'm like, man, I think Fournier would be good on the Mavs. I'm like, all right, I need to turn this off.
All right. Go look at the cap sheet again.
Yeah.
Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. Tomorrow, Isaac got you covered, talking more Eurobasket, breaking it down, ready for the tournament. Now make your second listen the ultimate Pro Football Preview 2022, an 8-episode extravaganza that gets you ready for NFL season. Team of local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network and Betting Angle with Lee Sterling of Locked On Bets combines all of it into one ultimate NFL preview. Search the Ultimate Pro Football Preview 2022 on Odyssey, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom!